Hi there, I'm Bianca Santos. You're watching World Cup Weekly, your favorite place for Brazil's latest World Cup headlines. And this week it's all about sex. Nice sex. Well, not all about, but that didn't get your attention. I don't know what will. Also, the fight for Museu do Índio at Maracanã Stadium, Twitter in Brazil, and the African Cup of Nations that starts this weekend. Museu do Índio. This structure is right next to Maracanã Stadium. It was built 150 years ago to honor the important treaties and accord Brazil made with its indigenous people, namely the Maracanã indigenous people. Fast forward to 1950. Brazil hosts the World Cup for the very first time. They actually make it to the final against Uruguay and 200,000 fans. Keep in mind that number, to watch Brazil lose. Museum's still standing. Fast forward 64 years later, Brazil gets the opportunity to redeem themselves, which is highly unlikely when they're placed 18th in the rankings. And all of a sudden, Brazil says, but now you gotta retrofit some things. Maracanã needs to go from 200,000 capacity to 75,000 capacity. And you gotta get rid of that dilapidated museum. That sporting complex that Cariocas use every day, yeah, it's gotta go. Oh, and that cute little elementary school, yeah, it's gotta go. Because, you know, it's just gonna get in the way of fan flow. Fan flow? But wait, Brazil had 200,000 fans coming and going and it wasn't an issue then, and now it's an issue? No, it's called money, 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 money. And Brazilian politicians like to make a lot of it. And so you have the governor, Sergio Cabral, and you have the mayor, Eduardo Paes, say, you know, that museum, it holds no historical value and it needs to go. So they're going through every legal back channel. They're doing every sneaky thing that they can to do to get that thing torn down ASAP. Word got around and people are standing up helping the indigenous, Maracanã indigenous people say, you know what, this is wrong. Of course it has historical value, and why should it be turned down to be made into a parking lot so that FIFA's happy? Oh, FIFA, we didn't want this museum torn down. No, that's not us, that's you. Right. If Sepp Blatter had the goal to demand an African-themed washroom, what's an African-themed washroom? Anyway, in his luxury hotel in South Africa, I wouldn't be too surprised if he wanted this museum gone just to build a really great, efficient parking lot. So here's the video so that you can better understand their plight, spread the word, increase awareness, and let's stand up to FIFA because it is it's total bogus. It's a total sham that World Cup comes in to improve a country's status, because that is just not the case. Instead, all of the resources get diverted to make other people richer, and while the regular Brazilians just get nothing. So next we have sex. And in Brazil, if you didn't know, prostitution is legal. So, you know, the ladies, they felt like in order to better communicate the language of love, that it was important for them to learn English. And so they want to better understand your fantasies during Confederation Cup, World Cup, and the Olympics. So when you go to Belo Horizonte, you'll be sure to find at least one lady that can understand a little bit of English. I would say I would like the Fuleco treatment. You know, the mascot Fuleco? No, not the mascot treatment, the Fuleco treatment. Tá me entendendo? Fuleco. Quero que teu Fuleco. Okay, this is getting dirty really quick. Google what Fuleco means. It was quite a controversy when the official mascot was called Fuleco. But that's my little tip for you. Eu quero teu Fuleco. Or they'll be able to say, eu te dou meu Fuleco. Gosh, this is terrible. But yes, the ladies will be able to better understand. And moving on, Twitter is exploding in Brazil. The US has about 100 plus million users, and Brazil is catching up with 40 million. Yeah, but they're the second highest users. And Twitter says, you know what, that warrants an office in Brazil. Let's all go to Brazil. Let's set off our office in Sao Paulo, and they've done just that, and then I think it will be a major hit. Again, with so many high-profile events, Twitter is bound to be a huge deal in Brazil. And I have a Twitter account, so follow me, keep in touch with me, and let's build that momentum together. It's so hard to get off sex, you know, so I'm trying my hardest. So let's go to African Cup of Nations. It starts this weekend. It's being hosted in South Africa. Well, you know, you got to make the most of all those stadiums built for World Cup. But people aren't too happy about it because it was kind of like an unexpected event. Libya was supposed to host it, and you know what happened there. And so now South Africa's left to pick up the bill again. Yeah. And a lot of cities are going into debt hosting this tournament that hasn't sold out for one single match. It just highlights again how FIFA sells a big bag of baloney sometimes. Anyway, so African Cup of Nations. Hopefully this year we can get a major contender to come to Brazil and show us how it's done. After all, remember the first World Cup in South Africa? Shabalala scored the first goal. Hopefully they can go a little bit further than the group stages. So that's all for this week's World Cup Weekly. Thanks for watching. Stay in touch with me on Facebook and Twitter. Until next week, ciao.